Hello everyone, this is Prem Kumar. Welcome to the one another video. In this video, we are going to talk about the rule configuration. We will start with creating a new rule and then we will also explore the different configurations which you get in a rule form. So first, what is a rule in Pega? In Pega's terminology, all your source code should go under certain rule types. Before going into much technical, I will start with a small example. Let's check this website from a developer point of view. If you look at this website, you have a theme. You see a green and an yellow theme here. Button is yellow and the tabs are all green. And if you scroll down, you will get the same theme, same look and feel. So the developers who designed this ABN AMRO website, they used nice UI features. So user interface comes here. Now I will just navigate through this website. If I go to products and then go to mortgage, there you will find mortgage calculator. So under this, you can also find the process. So mortgage calculation can be a business process that helps to do the mortgage calculation. This provides a kind of user experience where it captures the data. So what you see here, there is some business processes that are included in the website. The next thing is, you see in the first screen, they are asking if this mortgage is going to be alone or together with a partner. So there are some decision criteria comes into the picture. Based on some decisions, the flow may go into different path. If I am taking mortgage individually, then I have to provide all my details. If I am taking the mortgage together with my partner, then I have to provide my details as well as the partner details. So here you also see there is some kind of decision processes that is also involved. If you scroll little up, you will find there is a login button. Click on the button. There, ABN AMRO, they provide login with a QR code functionality. By this, some security features are implemented in their website. The next thing is, if you go to products, there is some kind of data encapsulated under the products. Like the banks, they are providing what type of products. You can navigate from this link and check. If you go to products, then under this, you have different categories. If I go to savings, for example, there you see different kinds of data gets categorized under savings, flexible savings, children savings. So you can say ABN AMRO has defined a data model for their products. If I log in with my credentials, my account details can also be data modeled within the ABN AMRO application. Finally, if I log in, I can also see some reports. For example, the transaction history. By this way, some reporting features is also available in this website. So a short recap, there are different features are available in this website. It all starts with user experience, processes, decisioning we have some kind of security features, we have reporting features, and we also defined a data model for this application. Now if you want to build a similar banking website using Pega application, in Pega also you have to include all these features, right? All these user interface features, security features, data modeling, everything you have to do it in Pega. So how to do it? How to build a very nice application using Pega software? Let's check it out. If you remember during the Pega installation video, I told that when we get license from Pega, we get lot of source code that comes out of the box. These source code, they provide different features. And in Pega, we call source code as rules. So Pega provide different rule types. Just now we looked into the ABN AMRO website where they have different features enabled into the website or their application. Now with Pega also, we can achieve all these features using Pega rule types. So Pega by default out of the box, they provide you with the different rule types. So all you have to do as part of Pega development is only to configure the right rules and make a right rule execution. As you see in the screen, Pega also categorize all these rules under different categories. You can start with UI rules where you can configure some sections and harness that can determine the look and feel of your application. It also uses the process rules where you can define a new case type. For example, for the claims app application, you can define a new case type of claims and you can include all the processes that are part of claims processing under the case type. Next is decision rules. If you want to have some kind of special customer treatment for your premium customers, then you can include decision rules into that can use some decisioning capabilities to make a result. Pega also out of the box, they provide a lot of security rules. You can use SSO authentication. You can authorize your application by using different privileges or different access groups. You can also integrate with different identity providers to provide authentication for your Pega application. About organizational rules, we already saw that we can use the organization division unit, and also we can define the work group which corresponds to team, and we can define the work queues for that. Next is about data modeling. You can create data types, you can define data model or properties or attributes that can capture all the details. We will see about data model very soon. And then some integration rules where you can connect to different systems to get the data. Pega out of the box, they provide a lot of configurations, like you can use REST service, SOAP service, JMS, MQ. Lot of integrations, all are available out of the box. All you have to do, provide the right URL, provide the right request response, and Pega's engine will take care of doing the REST, SOAP mapping, etc. Under system administrations, you can also do some kind of administration work, like you can manage your rule set, you can manage agents, background processing, etc. Finally, reporting rules. Pega also provides report definitions from where you can write your custom reports, and you can also use the chart functionality. All these rule types we are going to see in different videos. When you want to configure different rule types, they follow a specific template. Now let's check the different rule types that are available in Pega. I took a snapshot from the Dev Studio. You can see different categories of rule types. You can see application, data model, decisioning, and all set of integrations, process. Everything is self-explanatory, and Pega categorizes all the configurable rules under these categories. These we can call it as rule types in Pega. Now let's say that I want to create a new rule. Let's say I want to create a new when rule or a decision rule that can check the status of the case. Then what you can do is you can start creating the rule. As soon as you start creating a rule, you get the first form, which is the create form. In the create form, you have to provide the ID for your rule. Every rule should have a unique ID. The ID can be a combination of class as well as rule sets. We will see it during the video how we create a first rule. But the thing is, whenever you create any rule or whenever you create any data instance, you always get the create form, and in that form you have to decide under which layer you are going to place the rule. Once you decided the layer and provided the right name, you can do create and open. That will give you the work form of your rule. What you see in the screen is the work form of the when rule. Different rules will have different types of configurations, because when rule, if you see, definitely you need conditions. If you look at activities, those are all automation steps, so definitely you will have a lot of steps. If you look at integration rules, definitely there should be some fields to capture the URL, there should be some tabs to capture your request response. So Pega has specialized this work form for different rule types. Now that we know how to create a new rule form theoretically, let's go practically and create our first rule. As we know, Java is Pega's target language. But for Pega developer, you don't need to be an expert in Java. Pega developer don't need to write any type of Java code. All they need to do is configure rule forms and make the rules or the code to execute in a logical order. Various rule forms in Pega gets translated into Java during execution. If you take any Pega application, execute some action and check the code execution, almost 85% of the executed code is already shipped within the Pega platform as separate rules. All you need to do is do a little bit more of coding, and then Pega's engine will take care of the execution. Let's start with creating a new activity rule. So go to create menu and technical and then activity. In Pega, whenever you want to develop some code, you have to start with creating corresponding rule. So when you create a new rule, you will always be prompted with this create form. This may be like similar to almost all rule type. First thing is you have to provide a label and an identifier. Just provide some meaningful name. So this I'm not going to use this activity in my client's application. So I'll just create name as my first activity. So whatever you enter here, Pega will form an identifier itself, but you can always go here and edit the identifier. In the identifier, always follow standard naming convention. Next, you have to specify the context. Remember the situational layer cake. You can use the application layer, class layer, and the rule set layer. In the application context, specify to which layer you need to save the rule. I need to place this rule in the implementation layer. In real time, you may have multiple layers or multiple built-on applications. Currently, I do have only Claims app, which is built over the Pega platform, and a branch application. But in a real-time production environment, you may have multiple applications or multiple stack here. So just try to select the right stack. Now I have selected Claims app. Next is the applies to class. You need to specify the right class layer for this rule. Let's say this activity is supposed to perform some reusable action that can be reused across case types or work types. So in that way, you can place your rule in the work layer. So revisiting the app layer, here you can find alive, Claims app, work. This is the work layer, and this can extend to different case types, or the Claims records case type can extend this work class. So if you want to place some activity that can be reused across different case types, then you can place your activity under Claims app -work. So my applies to class can be alive -Claims app -work. So based on your activity usage or based on the rule usage, you can place it under the right layer. If you want to reuse this activity under organizational level, you can always place your activity under alive. Similarly, if it is on integration level or a data level activity, you can place it to the corresponding class. So this is one of the main thing which you have to look into to place your activity under the right class. Next is add to rule set. Here you can specify to which rule set the rule should go. Always, you know that rules should always go into a rule set. Since this is more application related, application work related, we can place the rule in the implementation rule set. So I'm going to place this under Claims app int. Just note that Pega intelligently restricted the rule set. When you select work, work can be part of only application related. So Claims app or Claims app int. Just if you can remove this and say alive, then you can see it has populated the alive also. This can be an applicable rule set. Oh, I'm going back to Claims app and then work. And now I'm going to select it as my implementation rule set. And then you can also select the version. Current work item, this you may see it in almost all of the rule form. When you have integrated with any project management tools like Jira, then you can tag the work item here. So currently there is no integration made, so you will not find any of the work item populating in this drop down. That is not a mandatory one. So let's go ahead and create. Yeah. So now we have created our very first rule in Pega, the activity rule. We saw before that all rules in Pega get persisted into the table in the rule schema. Let's confirm it. First do a save and then go to the Postgres admin console. There in the rule schema, you will find a lot of tables that holds the Pega rules. One of the main table is PR4_rule that contain all the rule details. So I have already prepared a query which selects create datetime label, the rule name, the class name, and the PZINS key from the PR4_rules table. So when I execute this, the last created rule should be my first activity. So you see there is an entry into this table. So on saving the rule instance, Pega makes an entry into this table. Let's take a look at the PZINS key of the rule instance. You see the PZINS key is rule obj activity, which is the PX obj class of the activity rule form. Then you have the applies to class because we created our activity in the applies to class of work and the activity name. So you see the same here, applies to class, activity name, and then you see the timestamp, the time on which the activity rule got created. So this will make a unique instance, right? You may have activities on the same class, on the same name, but you cannot have on the same milliseconds creation. So this will make a unique identifier for this activity rule form. Okay, so what is rule obj activity? So this is the PX obj class of activity rule form. So every rule form will extend rule hyphen, and then you will see activity rule will be under this class, product rule will be under this class, and access role to name under this class. So this you will get more information during the enterprise class structure. For now, just understand the px obj class of the activity is rule obj activity. Let's look at the common configurations in the rule form. In the rule form header, you find all the details which we provided during the create form, like the identifier which forms the rule name, the applies to class, and the rule set name. You also see a banner, the warning banner. So if your rule contains any warnings, a guardrail warning, then you can see the banner here. So you can click the review to either fix it or to provide a valid justification for it. Now you see there are few buttons here. So we will concentrate in this lecture only on the actions button and the save button. The delete, check-in, checkout buttons we will see in a separate lecture. So let's start with the action button. For a better understanding, I'm going to use another out-of-the-box activity. So go to activity and then filter on add work. So on filtering add work, I see there is an activity of add work in the class work hyphen. So I open this activity and I'm going to show you the button features using this activity. The first action is run. So you can click the run, which will open up a new window from where you can run this activity. As you see this activity is configured with 25 steps and it does different actions. So you can test all these actions by individually executing this activity, and this activity do accept some parameter value. So you can click run here. So this will run this activity, and I see there are some errors. That must be because we didn't provide the right parameter to create the work. So by this way you can run an activity and test it. You can also trace while run. So you can start on the tracer and then you can click run. So that will trace your run. So tracer will give you a better understanding on the place where the error happened. So it happened around the 10th step. I'm not going to go much detail into the activity, but just wanted to show you the actions. So you can trace, you can run, you can trace, and you can also check clipboard from the run window. The next action is preview. This is one of the not the new feature but a recent feature, and that gives an overview of the activity. It gives all the descriptions and also the steps were translated into a more readable manner. If you see from here, you see there are preconditions added and second, third and fourth step, right? So in the preview you get like you get more descriptive way of preconditions. So you don't want to expand every step. Instead you can just read through these steps to understand what this activity does. The next is trace. Trace is similar to what we saw in the run window. So first you can start the tracer and then you can also run the activity to start the tracer. And refresh is just like it's going to refresh your work form. And search rule. From search rule you can just search on any value or any name on this activity rule. Let's say I want to check on work page. I want to see where and all the work page is referenced. So you can say search rule and then click on this. It will going to show you in steps, parameter and history. The name has been referred, and then you can scroll down to see what are the places we have used work page. Search can be handy when you have an activity of a lot of steps are there, and also if you want to explore any out of the box activity. If you want to check some references, then you can go for search. Next is add to favorites. I think add to favorites we already know. We saw in the exploration of Dev Studio, we have a favorites. Let me add this new activity as my favorite. So I can go here and add to favorites. And you can say add to my personal. Different ways or a different group you can add this favorite. You can add this to my personal. It will be shown only to me. You can add to the my access group, so whoever part of the access group can see. We can also add to other access group or other people. So for now I'm going to just add it to my access group and open the highest version. So as you see, you can do a change for any activity rule into higher version, higher rule set versions. Currently it is in 010101, But when you want to do further changes to this activity, then you can increment the patch version to 010102, and always the higher version gets picked up. So it's better you use this option so that you always open the highest version of this rule. Now if you go to favorites, you see the favorite under here. Let's check the next option. Here you see there is view references. So view references will help to check wherever this activity get referred, because the rule or code can be referred in multiple places. Let's say, for example, different activities can invoke this activity. Just click on the view references, then you can find where this code is referred. It referred in multiple activities, only activities it has been referred. Let's open one of the activity and check how it was referred. You see, this activity is using call method and referred this add work activity. By this way, if you are doing some changes in any of the activity, you can use the referencing rule to check wherever this activity was referred, so that you can test all these references without breaking. Okay, this is one of the main option which we use whenever we do some development work or update any existing rule. Alternatively, if you want to find the reference of this activity, you can also use the search bar and you can search for this activity. This will give the list of references where this name has been referred. So it just do a while search on add work and it is going to give you, it doesn't give you the right class name or something, but it will just say wherever add work is referred, you can find these places. You can also do a all content search that will do a full content search on this name add work. So if you have a multiple list, or if the list is very big, then you can use the new window to open the references, the search in the new window, and there you can find. The next option is view siblings. If you click on view siblings, it will give you the siblings of this rule. So siblings here refers to the activity of same name but under different rule sets. You see, this is under Pega process engine. So it is Pega process engine, but you have the same version of this, you have the same name of this activity but in different rule sets. So this is like specialized under rule set. So you can find how this behaves. If you click and open this activity, you can find the differences. And also you find one on the decision engine. So this is how you can check the siblings of this activity. Next is view versions. So with view versions, you can compare different versions of this rule. So we see test branch, we have 010101, and in the branch development lecture, we created 010102. Let's open this activity and then go to actions and check view versions. So here you can see this is the version 010102. From here you can navigate to the previous versions 010101. You can also compare the versions. So you can say I want to compare with 0101 to see your changes. So here it will see there is some change happened on the step 1. The differences is the properties value block from and to deferred. So by this way you can compare different rules and check what are the changes have been done in the previous version and in the latest version. Let's check the other actions. You have view XML and view Java. If you click on view XML, it gives XML data or the raw metadata of this activity. So this activity, as we saw before, we saw in the DB table, we saw px create datem, py label, py rule name, everything is stored under this table, right? So with the view XML, you can also find the same details. Just control of py rule name. So let's see, the rule name is add work. You can check pz key. You can find the key of this activity rule. So by this way, you can find all the attributes that are part of the activity rule. This is just a rule instance. You can also find the same, like for data instance, you can find the XML attribute to check all the attributes that are part of the instance. So for any instance, you can open this XML and check the attributes of this instance. You don't want to go into DB table and check all the different attributes. Instead, you can directly open the rule and check view XML, and then from here you can check different attributes. You can check when it was created, a lot of different attributes you'll have. You can just explore this. And there is another option, view Java. So view Java, it is available only for very limited number of rules. So from view Java, you can identify the generated Java code. The activity Mainly it generates Java code. So for each method or each step, you will see a method declaration. If you are expert in Java, you can easily look into this. They import some packages and they declare some kind of loggers, and then you can scroll down to check number of methods it has been referred in this activity. Since this is a very big activity, you see a lot of Java code or steps. That's why Pega don't recommend to create more activities. Instead, they ask us to use data transform, which is another type. Okay, last two actions. With get help, you can open the Pega documentation page for this activity. When you are connected to internet, you can access this, and then finally you can also have an option to create. So when you open any activity rule and try to use create option, it pre-fills some of the details like the class name. So if I go to the add work activity, which is of class work hyphen, then I try to create, then it says like it just pre-fills some of the details like the applies to class, and then we can provide a name here to create a new rule. So creating a new rule you can do from create menu, you can go from records, as well as if you open any activity, you can either do a save as or just create from there. Now let's move to the other button, the save. Here you can do a save or you can do a save as, which we saw before. You can just do a save as of this rule into a different name or different class, whatever you want you can do. And there are other options also with save as. You can specialize by class or rule set or by circumstance. So specializing by class or rule set, here you can say you can define a different class. This is also more like saving as, but here your identifier will not be editable. So you are specializing the same activity rule, but either you can go with a different class or a different rule set. You may need to do this in certain places where you want to have the same version of the rule in a different class, so that at runtime, based on your class, different activities can be picked. I know it may be little difficult to understand at this moment, but when you go to rule resolution lecture and the rule availability lecture, you will understand more about it. But just understand that from an activity, you can create specialized version based on class or based on rule set. So you can change the class into, let's say you can change organization level, or you can also specialize under different rule set. There is one more specialization where you can specialize a rule based on circumstance. We have a dedicated lecture on this. Based on some conditions, you can execute a certain rule, and based on other condition, you can execute a different flavor of a rule. For example, let's say you are having a claims customer type as gold. For gold customers, you have to execute the activity in a different way, and for platinum customer, you need to execute the same activity but in a different way. Here you can specialize this activity based on customer type, and based on the value, you can execute different types of code. Okay, that's all for this lecture. We talked about the different actions, and also we saw how to save as, and specialize by circumstance.